17 August 2022, Saquarema City, Rio de Janeiro State, Federative Unity Brazil. We will make our movement today quite simple, quite clear. Since you evoked me, here I am, and I will maybe solve your problems. The method, using our models and the law enforcement that is, in charge. First thing, we must we request the judicial conclusion because we must move forward. We shouldn't spend our life, with things that are obvious. Second thing, when the local area do the monkey business on your repeater, on your Wi-Fi, change the structure, and all things, it's a waste of time, and time is money. All interest at this research and effort are losing money by your monkey business, criminal offenders. We will move, and since you evoked me, the reason is inflation, and it was advised to you, especially the greatest economy at the center, that the inflation will be a problem, and you won't be able to control this problem. Brazil lived at this in the 80s. It's all about the structural inflation that got projected in all things you do. But you didn't believe. I'm not being arrogant, but the problem now is not on economy anymore. See? And we will operate using our law enforcement, using the antitrust justice, and in the name of God and this energy that you believe in the way you believe, you will be sent to jail if you are a criminal inside the trust scam or leading a trust scam. The corruption affected we all equally. The corruption is the premise considering international crimes taking advantage of all things. And if this got so much in the way we have, it's so attractive that everybody is talking the same language. And this language is based on corruption, took the integrity of not only by your human resource that became worthless, but receiving more money, offering less results to your company, to your business, to your public department and environment. It's kind of something absurd, but it's the reality nowadays. We'll check that the new tracer has a simple language and a simple communication, authentic and based on things that for sure you will use, because some arguments as relational database and things that you have, and when we are doing this observation, offering options, suffering, interference, violation on mailbox, and despite all advices that you will commit industrial crime, you consider yourself untouchable. You can violate all things by the associations you do, considering even other constitution and regulatory premise, basic rights, guarantees. These mean nothing to you, but means a lot of things and everything we conquered since 1789. And of course that you are outlined at this civilization, this humanitarian evolution that we did because we abandoned the primal instinct that indeed is the mankind that source, an animal that sometimes can reason, and as an animal we will of course have results very similar to a beast that lives in a jail or something like this because threats everybody. We will check like this pandemic crime, which is led by anyone or a group. and this group controlling the corruption that combined everybody indeed is controlling the trust scam. And the corruption affected areas like the organized crime, globally speaking, that do things very in a closed way with a small mouth open because they do something illegal. And you had failures inside. If you are a criminal, real criminal, 00 positive one associated with a corrupted authority or regular department, office, whatever, board member, indeed, you got associated with the corruption. You put the corruption inside your criminal organization. If this goes at the subsidiary area, by ultima ratio as a property at criminal system on West, considering the Italy, you will have this in all things, and this is confirmed because you have this as a conjuncture, all involved at this pandemic event. Suggested prison 6 up to 20, but you have the judicial declaration by anyone. This kind of regime is an evil regime that Montesquieu called the oligarchy. And we will check that the inflation as an economic issue indeed is a problem on economy. But when you take advantage of all problems, and this advantage goes by a least sense of things, indeed the economy as issues, including the inflation, can be misguided, and the misperception and dishonest intellectual application of your reason will put the economy as a beast that no one can control. And this inflation is something going like this, combined with other elements on present time, to you have this perception like you are trying to set a big disease or something that will put things without any kind of control. You're against my economic and financial control. But my economic and financial control helped we all to understand everything. We complained, evidenced, proved, exposed, and now we are waiting the judicial conclusion. Because indeed we observe that the criminal groups and the criminal corruption inside the criminal groups is mostly made by the same peers, sharing the same interests. And this association indeed will help to understand how the inflation and the corruption of organized crime by criminals and have similarity. Indeed, I will have my sector, I would say. My sector has, items, services, investment on it. And I have in general the competition between economic players. It's the Porter model, the 5-4 set the market, considering the bargain of these competitors. And I will check that I will have an entrance, for instance, on my space, and this happened at the 90s, using slavery or situation very similar to slavery. We reported this to ILO, International Labor Organization, and we are expecting the words. Until this time, nothing. That you took advantage of the exploitation as laborship, but sometimes you had loss as expertise, and you have the fake industry, and especially boosted the e-commerce on the millennium and on current times, something obvious. All e-commerce websites are doing this. Goes like this. This is the inflation. The inflation can have this behavior as anything. like the pricing, on the pricing management, on stock management that has the inflation of fake items offered at the commerce, or the inflation of logical gaps and statements and reports by the corrupted authorities that has checks on it. They all are associated with the inflation as a systemic behavior. The inflation got inside this sector, which is the energy, for instance. The inflation will change and will occupy the gaps at the energy or the sector relation as supply and demand, which is my market. In general, like this on microeconomy, projected, integrated, combined, and with variance as schemes, leading to the behavior as a factorial risk associated in a very first moment with the demand or with the supply. First, notice at the discount police, then we had many other scams on it. And of course that my circle as inflation will be related with influence to occupy new gaps and the insider trading and the broken window theory, as it is reviewed by this effort to put you on jail, considering the optimization of your own national defense used in global scale for protect of we all, we understand that this behavior indeed is a pandemic risk until surround my sector. But my sector belongs to a portfolio as national stake that goes 1 up to 197, and with hidden levels doing all things as 198 immigrants, 199 as the organized crime in a transcontinental level, and this new nowadays is Committee for Constitutional Protection of Constitutionalism. And then we'll check that we have this area here now is here, but as you could observe with a circle, that the corruption, insider trading, and all things considering the extension as international corruption based on nepotism will have other gaps. And if they got integrated as a unique economic report by our conjunctural failure, indeed, they will be kind of a single circle with a density projected. And nowadays we observe that taking the half part of your matrix. And let's suppose that your matrix is divided on Republicans and Democrats, and taking half part of them both. Indeed, they are taking advantage of them both, and there's a something here as a sampling group. I can have the report between Republicans and Democrats showing the distortion on it that will lead to the distortion as division of a matrix having the cut using our astrophysics model. Put this animal here, and this regression will lead to the variance of scams with factorial behavior on supply and demand microeconomy that's made by a variable which is a person. And all this in general goes as something named economic politics or police, that is made sometime by a committee or the integration of all micro and macro based on conjunctural failure as purpose and interest, using instruments, physiological instruments and index on economy that are in all areas, like inflation, like the price, like the taxation. But from the taxation, which implies always the Republicans and Democrats, challenging themselves to point who is corrupting them, each other, themselves inside the political party. Closed door procedure, division, and problem is troubleshooting. We will finish here, move forward. We are kind of not at this trial as things anymore. The judicial conclusion belongs to you, and we will move forward maybe today, but I will have my time now. Have a good night.